Hello, family. This is Gwen. Today is Tuesday, August the 15th, 2017, and the time is about 6:29 p.m. I'm going to talk about consumer debt and what I've learned so far. First thing about debt is everybody has that's in ever been in debt already have their story to tell, so I won't go into that. Except suffices to say that I've been in debt and had to climb out, and I've done it more than once. Yeah, and I've hit rock bottom in debt and then had to climb out. And the reason why I had to climb out the last time I hit rock bottom in debt was because I had enough honor to want to climb out on my own without them charging off or anything. But some people have already filed bankruptcy and had foreclosures and all those other things. Everybody's got their own story. And I would suggest that you read the books that talk about debt, read all of the blogs and things like that to talk about debt and how to get out of it because all of it is good advice. I used to like watch Michelle Singletary on TV and this other lady, I forgot her name, but she looks like a Hispanic lady out of Canada, and she used to say things like, "You boggle my mind," when she talks about the people that she's trying to help with debt, because there are plenty of financial gurus who help you with debt on TV. Even before Susie Orman got in trouble, she had good advice about debt. But all of that is relevant and significant, but I want to uh, talk a little bit more about it and how to do the nuts and bolts from person to person. So, in a way to help yourself with debt is you got to have a minimum requirement, and the minimum requirement is a steady income, a steady predictable income. That is, you need to be able to have your income cycle through at a rate you can forecast. The reason why you're forecasting is because you're going to build yourself a budget. Well, I call it a spending plan because I hate the word budget, so I had to build myself a spending plan. And then I could know when to pay what I needed to pay based on what I was expected to get. And since it was predictable, I could work with it. It doesn't matter how much money you make, you can always be in debt and over your head. Debt is not income reliant. You can have a little bit of money or a lot of money and still be in trouble. Never forget that. So when you see rich people in debt, or rather rich people, don't think for 1 second they're not in debt. Don't think for 1 second they're not that they got all things under control. In fact, they may have very little under control. So, but as a minimum, you need your steady, predictable income, and that's so you can make plans. You can work with your credit card companies and your other consumer debt companies, and be able to predict how to how to pay your bills so you can climb your way out. Ooh, excuse me. Now, the next one is you got to have a desire to do it. That is not something from that told you to jump in there externally, but from your inside, from inside of you, where you decided that you wanted to do it. Now, people telling you you ought to, and reading about that you ought to, and people saying it's a good idea, don't mean that you really have internalized that. You're just often just saying the right words and mouthing the right words when in fact you don't really want to do it. I'm talking about actually wanting to do it yourself. So you got to have that desire to do it. You have to be aware that you'll have to sacrifice because you won't be doing the same things you used to do. You will not be doing the same things that got you in debt. All of that instant gratification and things that you want, you won't be able to do that no more. Not until you get out of debt, and then after you do get out of debt, you won't even have a desire to do it. You really won't. You will have internalized the lifestyle changes and saw them for the good ideas they were. You won't be wanting to do some of the stuff you used to. You really won't. So, but you have to start off being willing to sacrifice. And what you're going to be doing is cutting all the crap down to the bone. Down to the bone where there's just a little bit of lean meat clinging to the bone to sustain you. Because you won't be doing the things that you used to do. Your friends and family have to be on board. If you have a household, with family, then they have to understand that you and your significant other have decided to get out of debt and things are going to change. The kids can't be living a lifestyle or expecting to live a lifestyle where they get everything they see or want everything they see or want and expect to get everything they see. Can't go all the places they want to go. They can't keep up with their friends. They will have to be on board. Now, truth is, you should have already taught them not to be wanting and doing all that stuff anyway. But I suspect that the reason why you in debt is because you don't even understand how not to want to do all that stuff anyway. And same thing with me when I was in debt. I was doing stupid stuff or wanting to do stupid stuff. Stupid beyond stupid. But if you got a family with a household, everybody's got to be on board. Everybody's got to be grasping that. Can't be just having one person focusing on getting out of debt and everybody else is spending like crazy. You might have to sacrifice some friends and family. If they aren't backing off of the spending, you might have to let them go. If they're always wanting something from you, I don't the way I would do that if somebody, wanting to borrow from me all the time was ask to borrow from them and the first time they don't give it to me, say tell them not to ask you for nothing else. That's the best I got. But yeah, you always got that person that wants something all the time. They don't bother me because I tell them no for like before they even get the words out their mouth. They know they get. I ain't doing it. I ain't co-signing. I ain't doing none of that stuff. And you don't even get the words out your mouth before I'm telling you no. But they already know about me, so. But some families and people don't think like that. If you hear me clicking, it's because I'm working with a Word document. I'll give you an example. I had a cousin before she passed away, but we were young, and she's only 3 years younger than me, right? I brought a Christmas present to my other cousin up at her house with my aunt because we were all meeting there for Christmas dinner together. And the cousin says, "Well, you didn't bring me a present." And I said to her, "Okay, get me a present and we'll talk." Okay, so that's how you have to handle people like that. Because I think she thought that since I was slightly older, I was in the aunt and upper echelon of the family game. I don't know what she thought, but it didn't work. They know about me. They know I'm not. I don't. No, 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 no. You don't get to use and push me. No, 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 no. Yeah, I'm laughing at them at their efforts. But there are other people who do get to be used and pushed. Well, you got to stop because you're in debt and now you got to climb out. And you might have to move out of town or change lifestyle, change friends, change family. You might have to make some serious changes to get yourself under control because you can't do that no more. Lifestyle changes, you got in debt, or people get in debt because they're trying to live above their means, for one thing. Everybody knows how much money you make or what your income range is. So if you're paying $700 for shoes, then they know you're stupid. And if you got a bunch of peers who are paying $700 for shoes and don't have the income for that, then you got a bunch of stupid friends along with yourself. If you are a person who's making $14,000 a year before taxes, you have no business spending $700 for shoes, as evidenced by the fact that you had to buy them on credit card. So that's a stupid purchase that you couldn't afford. But what you could have done was save $100 a month and then buy them and buy the latest version that's 7 months later, and you would have bought a good deal on them. Never mistake a purchase that's on sale, for example, for a real bargain. Now, if you bought $100 pair of pants, right? Or rather, 30% off of $100 pair of pants. But if you're buying it with the credit card with the 30% finance rate or 30% interest and all of that, then you really didn't make a bargain. If you are paying it month after month, paying $30 a month, say, for that month, then they are charging, rolling over those rates, then you have really paid significantly more for those pants than you would have paid had you bought cash, had you purchased with cash. Because all of these rates and fees and charges are designed to roll over month after month. They want you to keep a balance. That's how they make their money. They're not there to give you free money. That money has never been a dollar to dollar ratio. That is, you purchase it for $5, you pay them $5 back. No, 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 no. It's you purchase it for $5 and you pay them $6 back. And if the more you put in there, the more money you got to pay them back for lending you that money. And thus, your income is significantly reduced as you go, which is why it's harder and harder and harder to make ends meet when you have credit card debt. It's designed to do that. It's a setup. You're being set up with credit card debt when you are in the initial credit card determine credit worthiness and credit limit phase. When you're talking to the man or lady on the phone and they're asking you your gross income versus your net, then they're essentially wanting you to be above your head because you bring home your net. And this is what I asked when somebody was talking to me on the phone, and that's what I was doing because they had called me to get me a credit card, and I was in need of money. So I was applying for the credit card via phone, and they asked gross income. And I said, but I don't take that home. I take home such and such. And they said, no, we use your gross income. And I said, oh, okay. In my mind, still had misgivings, but I said, but they know what they're talking about. They know what I can afford. So I'm going to use their figure, da da da. And so they gave me that higher figure based on gross income. And as soon as you max that out, they might even raise it up again. But it's all designed to keep you in trouble. It's designed for you to, they want you to have a little bit of trouble paying them so that they can roll over those fees month after month. And as it snowballs, you're getting less and less money left over to buy your necessities with. So that's part of the setup. They want you to have trouble paying them. That's why they want you to have it all the way up to the maximum edge so that you can still pay, but you'll have trouble so that they can roll over the finance charges month after month. And it's all designed to make money. Now, about a silly purchase. Any purchase that we make right now as consumers is basically a overpriced purchase. You ever go to a store and see something marked off 50%? And you say, wow, they got this big old deal, da da da. Trust me, they're still making a profit. I've seen stores mark off 60%, and I still know that they're making a profit. That's because they paid about 20% or less of what that is you're holding in your hand. They paid 20% from their distributor of whatever that figure is. Let's say $20. We're going to operate with $100. Okay, now you in the store, the retail store, and you're paying $100 for this pair of pants. The store probably paid only $15 to $20 for those pants. The markup is about $100. I mean, markup is about the $80 additional money. They want profit. They want to pay for their employees. They want to pay for the overhead. That is a building and utilities, water and stuff like that. The overhead, people cleaning it, all of that, cleaning the store, light bulbs, all the things that make the store run is overhead. And the employees who are operating in the store is part of the cost of them doing business. But between that $20 that they paid for it and that $80 difference in that, to the $100 that you paid for it, all of that's coming out of that. Plus they're making a profit. But for them to pay $20 for it, they had to buy from somebody, and that's their distributor who paid even less for it because that distributor also needed to make a profit and cover their overhead. And that distributor got it from the manufacturer. For that manufacturer to have to make a profit, they had to even have it charge even less because they had to pay for their overhead and their employees plus their supplies to make that garment. So essentially that pants actually cost $2 to make. Okay, your pants that you just paid $100 for probably only cost $2 or so to make. When I shop, I try to narrow that gap between the price of the thing being made and the price I'm paying. So I don't pay a lot for things. They won't get me to pay no $600 for a purse, and I'm into purses, but they won't get me to pay that. I'll pay $50 because I kind of know that I won't buy jewelry or stuff like that because I know that there's a markup. It's a serious markup. Uh, when I took jewelry class in college, and I looked in the catalog about the things you can get out of the jewelry catalog wholesale for the classroom purchases. I noticed how much the difference was between the retail and this catalog. And people who are buying at these jewelry stores are being taken like the Dickens. I cannot stress how much you're being. So now I just make my own jewelry. Sorry about that. I'm clicking around and stuff. It's I just hit my mute button and so it's messing up. So I'm gonna go over the last few words I said just in case I missed it. What I was talking about was jewelry and how I make my own jewelry now. And I use semi-precious stones when I do it because the markup for jewelry and semi-precious stones like it, let's see, jade, depending on what they are, they might be precious or semi-precious. Diamond is a precious stone, and I think rubies, emeralds, and some of the others. But sapphire is a semi-precious stone, and I forget what the other ones are, like your quartz and various things. Well, anyway, there's a big difference between the wholesale and retail, and so I don't buy jewelry at the store because I already know how big of a racket that is. And if you really are into those kind of things and investigate and see the difference, and you probably would start making your own too. Now, among the things you can do with the lifestyle change is to take care of things and make it yourself. Medical debt is something you can't do nothing about really because medical is unfortunately something that you can't predict. The most you can do to help yourself with medical debt is get insurance, and try to alleviate the cost. But that's a whole nother ball game. Medicare and Medicaid can help, but medical debt is something that can break the whole family's budget. And there's nothing really that's foreseeable about it except love the one that's sick and do your best. I would say get insurance so that it can alleviate the cost or help offset the cost, and hope and pray that you don't get in medical trouble. There are some what is that, long-term care insurance and accident insurance, that kind of thing. That'll be helpful. But do have insurance covering the whole family. I'd much rather you have insurance than to get laid by the wayside on something that could have had a cost offset. Student loan debt is another setup. The way I knew this when it came relevant to me is when I was applying for a student. Well, I was applying for a personal loan, and the bank operator said, "What are you going to use it for?" And I said, "To go to school." And she immediately switched it to student loan debt. I said, "But I qualify for." She had already told me I qualified for a personal loan because it was my bank. I've been going to them for years, and she would not take it out of student loan. And she said, "No, this is student loan. This is fine." Da, da, da. I didn't know till years later that student loan is a debt that you can't get out of. You can't file out bankrupt. You can't do nothing except die. The only way you get out of student loan debt is to die. You can't get out of student loan debt, no matter how much it is. And so ultimately I borrowed 1700 $17,000 in student loan debt, but it ballooned up to like one time I looked, it was 22,000. Another time it was like close to 25,000, and it just kept ballooning. The first earlier payments are kind of low, but according to them, you're expected to increase your income as your years go by. But that's not how your income works. You have peaks and valleys with income as you move through life. And so when you're in one of them valleys having to pay that peak price and having to struggle with it, that's really trouble. So, but I did climb my way out of student loan debt. I fought my way through it and paid them off. But it's a setup. I would say this: don't borrow if possible. Go to a state school because it's cheaper. Go to a junior college because it's cheaper. Go to a trade school because it's cheaper. Take online courses because it's cheaper. All of these classes can be credits that are transferable to a 4-year degree. In fact, if you were in the military, your military classes are transferable towards college classes. I saved myself a whole year out of school by using my military courses as credits for my electives. All of my It was like 21 hours, and I slammed them right into the electives, and it counted. So that was like a whole year out of school that I didn't that I didn't have to fool with. So they didn't apply to my degree program. I still had to take all them degree program classes, but the electives, the free electives, that's where my military credits went. So do everything you can to minimize the amount of classes that you actually have to take. You can They have the CLEP, they have other things that are transferable as college credits. Look into that. If you got a job that has training that might have be transferable. Even in some military bases, they have night classes that are transferable. Like in these condensed military classes, like 1 month you can do English, 1 month you can do something else, 1 month you can do something, and they're night classes. Do whatever it takes to minimize the classes that you got to actually take to your degree program, and go to a state school. Don't go to the private schools because those are the ones that make the money, and they don't really give you that much of a better education. That's a load of nonsense. Um, it might be important to some, but it's not that important. I have never got a job yet that I needed college credit to get. It didn't help me. And I wanted to make sure I went to college and finished so I could say that because I knew it before I went to college. But I had to make sure I went to college so I could stand on the other side and say, no, I didn't need to go to college to get the jobs I got. So I'm saying it. I did not need to go to college to get the jobs I got. So next thing is this: don't borrow a lot of money for a low income job. There's a lady that I knew of that I don't know what I saw her on, but anyway, she said she spent a hundred and something $1,000 to go to school to be a baker. She is not going to make a hundred and something $1,000 money kind of money being a baker. Are you going to the fantastic chef school? You aren't going to be the master chef. The master chef may make a lot of money, but the line cooks and the things that the sous chefs and all of those are going to be making less money. They're not going to be making a big high income. If you want to know how much they make, then whatever degree program you got, look in the one ads, see how much they make. If that money is not conducive to what you are getting ready to pay the school for that school, then you need to choose another school, and a trade school is just as well. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure you need to go to college. Most of what they are teaching is stuff you can learn on your own. And if you're black, you can be starting your own business and should be starting your own business, especially as a young person. Now, your car notes, even that is something you should pay off as soon as possible, because even if you made a good deal, you're still paying some finance charges on that. Okay? So pay that off as soon as possible and then keep it forever. Buy the car that you want and then keep it forever. Maintain it. Do what you have to do to maintain it and keep it forever. Take care of it. Have your friends and family take care of it. Make sure that they respect whatever it is that you have, because they have to understand they can't mess up your stuff. Now, this one is called renting versus mortgage. I didn't know it until I actually had a mortgage, because I've been a renter all my life. But when I got older and I started looking at how much they keep raising the rent, I decided to go ahead and purchase. And I found out some things. It's cheaper to buy. It is cheaper to buy. First off, they aren't going to raise your rent. And every once in a while I do look at the place I was renting from, and as they raise that rent about $40 every year, their rent is currently more than my mortgage is now. You understand? It is cheaper to buy. I didn't know that. I did not know that till that first year. The other thing I found out was that I get my interest rate credit back, or I forget what that was, what to call it. But at the end of the year, when you put in your mortgage interest rate in the figure on your tax form, you get a certain amount. You get a certain amount of money back. They're talking about getting rid of that, but that's like double taxing, because the bank should have already paid taxes on that, because that's my finance charge. Mortgage is a hard debt now, and I don't think of it as a as a negative debt. It's because the house in theory is supposed to appreciate and grow up in value. But I also look at this as renting, because I'm basically renting to own. That's what a mortgage is. It's not really your house until you pay it off. You're living in it while you pay it off, but it's still cheaper than rent. It's cheaper than renting. So if you can, when you get your credit straight and get a good credit rating, go ahead and purchase if you can. You still need that predictable income. You need a good interest rate. You need good credit. And you need to buy your place below your means. When you go in with your bank, and always use this, where you, before you go and look at places, get your bank printout telling you what they're gonna certify. It's basically a check that has your amount, and then whatever you qualify for, how much you can qualify, how much home you can afford to buy. No matter what that figure is, buy $50,000 less than that, because you're going to buy below your means. You're not going to max yourself out. Okay? Maxing yourself out and you don't even know what the future will bring is crazy, because you don't know what's going to happen. Always get a fixed income rate. Fixed, I mean, not fixed income, a fixed percentage rate. Don't have the balloon and flexible and all of that. Might look good on paper when it's low, but it kills you when it's high. Don't go with the balloon payment. That's crap. That's part of the setup, and people took it. It sounded good on paper and they talked them into it, but it blew up in their face. So go with fixed and investigate. Look at books. I got a book on my shelf called Home Buying for Dummies. Admit you dumb, and then go get some books. And really read them. Home Buying for Dummies. I got about 4 or 5 books on my shelf before I even went to look at purchasing. And then I called my bank and told them I was thinking about it, and then they made me a printout for what I qualified for and what they'll certify, because they were going to be the ones I was going to use to finance it. And so they had a printout for how much they would finance for, and that's what I used. But I never showed it to my home people I was going to buy from until after I had decided to take the place, and then only then did they see the figure that I actually qualified for versus what I was buying. And he said, feel free to spend the rest of this on this facility, on the place and all. That's okay, because it's less than what they said I qualified for. But even now, that's pushing. I'm trying to save money and pay my bills, so that's still money that pushes close. It's exactly where it's supposed to be, but it's more than what I want to spend. Now, so yeah, buy your home below the means. You need good credit so you can have a good interest rate. Those little percents and 0.00%, those decimal points, fractions of a percent matter. So you want a 3 or a 4% versus a 10%. If they're giving you high numbers for an interest rate, then that means you got to back off and work on your credit some more. Okay. So the better your credit, the better your interest rate, among other things, as well as, whatever income and whatever amount you're thinking about paying. So that's going to be what you're going to be looking at, because your ultimate goal here is to go ahead and buy. You're going to buy in a well, they got plenty of people telling you how to buy and how to choose your neighborhood and all that stuff. And plus you'll have a real estate agent talking to you about it. And so investigate those and look at what you have to do to figure that out. And that's, everybody's situation is so different. So figure that out yourself on your own, according to your needs. Now, with that minimum predictable income, you got to watch your money like a hawk. Among the things I did was go ahead and create a spreadsheet. And my spreadsheets that I created, and I call them spending plans, I've got every nickel I spend, every receipt I ever got. I've been saving my receipts since 1984 because I watch it. Excuse me. I watch my nickels and dimes. I got my fast food receipts. I keep it. Every nickel, every dime, every purchase, and it's on a spreadsheet that I use every month, that I track my spending. Not only track my spending, I predict my spending, and I track my bills, and I look at them, and I keep that spreadsheet because it's adding and subtracting as I go, and it's looking at what I got in the bank and what I don't have in the bank. And it's got predictable columns because I had to map out my budget. So, like if I get paid $300 this month and I expect to get, uh, I'm sorry about that sound, $300 this week, and then expect to get 300 more dollars 2 weeks from now, then I can fill in the bills that I can pay with each $300 and balance it out and know what's left. And then I can be on track with my spending, and I can see what I have left and I see what I can work with. So that's why you got to watch your money like a hawk, and have your steady, predictable income so that you can balance out and work with your figures there. Like you can pay this $30 payment on this 2 week phase, but you can pay this other $40 payment on this other 2 weeks, and you'll be able to figure that out. And I have it on an Excel spreadsheet. Now, pay bills online. I found myself getting in trouble because I would pay late sometimes. And the reason why I pay late because I didn't know that it had rolled over on that grace period. That is, the cycle might be 21 days, 22 days, 28 days, 30 days. And I'm thinking this, if I paid on the 22nd of the month, I'm thinking I'm due to pay again on the 22nd of the month, on the following month, right? But if it's a 28-day cycle, it's actually a few days earlier than that. And I miss it. So I wound up having more fees and more finance charges, and finance charges rate go up because you done miss payments and you're not as credit worthy as you were. And it's all designed to do that. So if you pay bills online, you can alleviate some of that time period. Plus you can see what you did and see where you are. My For example, one of the things I did recently was well, a few years ago, was with my cell phone and my cable company, because they're all rolled into one, they're bundled. But I would pay my other bills on a certain day of the month, but these came a few days earlier. So I would be missing that payment because I hadn't gone back online to pay my bills that month. And I would be missing my cell phone payment and my cable bill payment. So I called them to try to change the date back to something conducive with the rest of the bills that I pay at that time. And they said they don't do that based on my account number. And then I said, can I pay a month early? And they said I could do that. So with my cable bill, I pay them actually a month ahead of time. And so it's never overlap. I mean, never overdue because it's really a month ahead. It takes a struggle to pay that extra whatever dollars, but it's better than having to pay those fees. Okay? So even if you have to do that, do that. Now, if you're in debt, you can call the credit card company. Some will work with you. You can tell them your situation. They're going to ask if you got a cell phone. They're going to screen you and all that stuff. And you can tell them your situation. And they say, okay, if you pay us $50 a month and we'll negate all these charges and we won't let you charge anything else, we'll remove our fees and interest rates and da da da. Um, and you can pay this set amount of money per month till it's paid off, and we'll call ourselves square. And that's what I did with a lot of them. I paid them. They negated their fees. They took away their fees, extra money, and I paid them what I owed them. And some of them charged off and had finance companies, and I had to pay them. But I did whatever it took to get them paid, and I did. And I suffered, and it was hard. It wasn't easy. I had to cut back. I had to dig myself out, and you can do it, but you gotta be willing to. Now, the fees, like I said, are a setup because they're designed for you to be late so that they can tack on more fees and make them roll over, and that's how they make their money. The way I did it, and there are two ways to pay credit cards off, is one way was some of them say pay the one with the highest interest rate because that's the one with the money going down the drain. All of that, you're paying your flat rate, what you owe them, plus their finance charges and interest rates and other charges. So you're paying, so instead of you're paying them that principal, you're paying the extra stuff. Okay. They want you to pay off the one that has the most extra stuff and get that out the way because that's the one that's got the most money being lost to you. The other way to do it is to pay off the one with the least amount owed and get that paid off so you can roll it over to the next cheapest. That's the method I chose. What I had was a $900 credit card bill that I was paying $300, no, I'm sorry, $30 a month for, right? It was $900 that I owed, but I was paying $30 a month on it. What I did was accelerate payments on that $900 card, even to the point of you can do a balance transfer if you want to, because all you're doing is planning on rolling it over and getting that out the way, and you're gonna even a balance transfer, you're gonna pay that off fast too. So everything you're doing, you're getting it out the way. So because I like to see instant results and seeing balances go down and zero charges and zero balance and have that thing paid off and shown being paid off. Excuse me, I paid off the cheapest one first. So I paid that $900 credit card off first using, I forgot what figure a month, but I used whatever I could afford per month to pay that off, and I accelerated payments on that. And as soon as that one was gone, I went to the next cheapest. So that $30 that I was paying, I paid accelerated payments on the next card, the next cheapest, and I think that one was like $900 too. And I was doing the same thing, so I accelerated payments on that. So now I got two of them paid off and 60 additional dollars to pay for other credit card debt. And that's how I cycled them. And I sat there with my little paycheck and wrestled my figures on my spreadsheet until had a good smattering of payments that I could work with and still have money to eat. And that's what I did. And it was hard, very hard, but you can do it. and I didn't have a lot of income. Now, as you do your banking online, what you're going to also do is create at least 2 to 3 savings accounts. You're going to have a general savings account and an emergency savings account. And then I would suggest a third saving accounts for other, such as like you want to purchase for vacation or college or a special purchase. Like if you do want those $700 shoes, right? You can pay $25 a month on your savings account until you get up to $700. Very likely you will have lost a want desire for them, but you can keep that money in there. I call some of that stuff the no questions asked money. When I was in college, I had to live on $400 a month, and my rent was like 160. This was a long time ago in the 80s, but this was 160. And then I had to pay all of my utilities and then buy whatever art supplies I needed. And then by the time I was done, only had like 25 or $30 for food. I learned to shop for food cheaply, and I did. I, and it wasn't all ramen noodles either. I had beans and cornbread and ham hocks and turkey wings and things like that, and some greens and salad. And I ate healthy enough, but I had to cook it all from scratch. That was a lifestyle change. Okay, so you can do that, but it's gonna be hard. Excuse me. I don't know why my nose is running. Let me see if I can stop, put it on pause and hack and cough. Be right back. I'm back. But anyway, during that very limited budget I had, I didn't want to feel deprived or suffering because I would have been miserable. So out of that $400 check, with my little $5, I would take a little money and I would call that my something stupid money. And that was $5. A $5 purchase of something stupid. And it was just $5 on something silly that I wanted. And that's all I did. That was my allowance, my personal allowance. My was $5 out of that $400, and then with $20 for food. And that was my all of my spending maxed out for that whole month. Except my something stupid money, I might buy. I used to like cashew butter, so I would buy that at the health food store, and some other things. Whatever it was, it would be my special treat for me for that month on something stupid that I would have no regret about. Won't even second guess myself because I had to have that flexibility in my mind so that I wouldn't feel like I was ultimately suffering all the time. And then later on, as I started working at a different job and having, growing up and having my life, what I did was have a budget called my no questions asked money. That is that free money, my is equivalent of something stupid, and that was $50 a month. $50, no questions asked. I might put it in the savings, my no questions asked savings, where I can purchase something else or just buy something that I wanted for me, no questions asked. And that's what I do now. If I were to buy clothes and if I was really into clothes, especially building a wardrobe, I would have a wardrobe budget where I would save money and spend it on specific wardrobe purchases. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I get to lifestyle, finish with my lifestyle changes that you got to make. Now, the lifestyle changes is this. People know how much money you make because they know what job you have. They have an idea of your income range. You're not impressing nobody when you got things that are above that income range. What you're doing is trying to keep up with other folks who are also living above their income range. But what you can do is make your life comfortable, and that is, again, take care of the stuff you get and build on it. Same thing with your wardrobe. Take care of the stuff you get, buy good quality and build on it. Buy neutrals and buy classics. Actually, when you buy classics rather than the little things at the regular stores, You're going to actually increase your class status. And class is a odd word, but your social status. You come out of the range of hood rat and go to middle class person who's looking for a future or is planning for the future. Picture this, okay? Picture two women, picture the same lady, two women who look just alike, right? Everything about them just alike. Put one in a mini dress and a halter top, like low cut dress, and a short skin tight dress with a pair of high heels, bracelet, necklace, big hair hanging down, and then the other one in a long sleeve white shirt with a pleated or tucked in skirt, say a A-line skirt or even a pleated skirt. That's red. Give her a red skirt, white blouse, and a sweater vest. Yeah, let's put her in a sweater vest that comes down to her. That's coming down to her pleated skirt, and she's got on a pair of low-heeled shoes, and her hair isn't big, but it's pinned up at in the back of her in a bag. Which one do you think has the best job? Which one do you think has the most money? Which one do you think has the quiet lifestyle that you actually want to live versus a lot of drama? Okay, that's what I mean by class. One that's got a lot of drama, and another one has a quiet lifestyle, eating healthy, and have a calm place that you want to live, but that you don't mind sitting in. Okay, so clothes do matter. One, and now if you got a handsome man who's wanting a good wife, which one is he gonna choose? Okay, neither one of them see him, so they can't make eyes at him. Now picture it. Which one is he gonna choose for a good wife? They both look alike. One he wants to build a family with versus one he wants to just hump. So think about it. Just think about it. Just let that percolate a minute. So yeah, clothes matter. Get rid of the friends and family who do not support you saving money. Now, if you do have friends and family you that are in a position to know what your money and income situation is, and they're still pushing you to go to expensive places and buy expensive gifts and stuff like that, you might have to let them go because you're not going to be affording that. You're not going to be paying for that. Teach your kids about money and have them work with you. Let your kids control their own little budget. Like if you're gonna spend $100 per child for Christmas, then tell them so they could pick out the toys that are under that amount of money. They might not even want toys. They might want shoes and clothes. But if you're going to spend $100 per child for Christmas, fine, or whatever holiday, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. I'm not even sure you will celebrate Christmas. You could just give them gifts and things throughout the year, as long as you stay within the budget. If you're going to be giving your child toys during the year, then and things, then put them on budget, let them work with you and teach them how to do it. Like you're going to spend $20 or $5 for that child per month, right, per child. Then let them see the money coming out as they ask for things. Show them how money works. Kids will understand it if you teach them, and let them see how that money goes away. Say, okay, you bought this little item here and that costs 259, so this is what you got left. You And then let the child pick out what they want. As long as I say, well, you don't have enough money for that right now, so you have to get something else because they cost this amount, and right now you only have this. You can't buy that till next month when you have some more money. You find your child probably gets that better than you do. But the biggest way to teach your child about budgeting is for you to be on a budget. And you never should have let your child be expecting to get everything they see. Anyway, now let's see. Focus on the staples. If you're building a house and a family, then you just want the staples. That is your furniture and your hard goods. You won't be getting the flashy stuff or the trendy stuff. No trends. You won't be getting trendy stuff. That's why I call it classics. A classic is a button-down white blouse versus a off-shoulder fluffy thing, on the collar or something like that. That's a trend. Or one of those blouses with the shoulders out. Those are trends. A classic is a long sleeve button-down blouse. A classic is a sweater, a cardigan. A classic is even a sweater vest or even a long sleeved sweater. A classic is an A-line skirt. A trend is a A-line skirt with ruffles on the bottom, but and one side longer than the other. What do they call the asymmetrical skirt? That's not a classic. That's a trend. A classic is a pair of beige pants that come all the way down to the top of your shoe, and they're slightly wide leg. A trend is where that pants is um, um, something specific for that period, and I can't think of nothing off the top of my head. Uh, but you know the difference, right? Classic is a pair of pumps that's almost nondescript. A trend are the red bottoms. Okay, so focus on the classics so that they won't have a expiration date when the trend's over. So you can wear the same classic 20, 15, 20 years from now and it'll still be in style because it's a classic. But a trend is something you would have to throw away in about a year or two because it's lost its usefulness because the trend is over. So if you're going to buy clothes, focus on the classics. Focus on the neutrals because you can mix and match. And then your wardrobe looks bigger. You can buy 3 items and have 15 combinations of various things, okay? So you do that for you and your kids. So you're going to be focusing on the um, classics and the staples. Hard goods, such as your appliances, your furnishings, that kind of stuff is the staples that go into the house that you're going to keep forever because you're going to build on it. You might buy the couch set this year, and then next year you buy your coffee table set. The year after you buy the dining table set, and you build from there. And so you take care of what you got, and then build on it. And then next thing you know, you got your house full of furniture, and it's just what you need, and it's still being taken care of years and years and years, so much so that you can pass it on to your kids. Those are the hard goods. Learn how to do things yourself. I have a relative who has a house full of art, but it's art that we did. I'm an artist, and she's got my paintings and sculptings hanging up in her house. Her nephew was an artist. Just all of us are able to do things. She can strip furniture and refinish it and things like that. So we can do stuff. Every few years or a couple of dozen years, she might have to get the kitchen cabinets replaced, but her husband can put them up. Her husband replaces the cabinets. Every couple of dozen, a bunch of years, they might have to redo the wallpapers in the house because it's just got old and faded, but they know how to do that. Okay? They know how to refinish furniture, sand and buff floors and things like that. I know how to do art. So things she has hanging up in her house because I've given them to them over the years. I even, when I'm real broke, I make Christmas presents that they wear. I make presents for them. Like one year I made, t-shirts. I didn't have no money. So I bought t-shirts and used their paint, their photographs, and made those into shirts by painting them based on the photographs that they gave me because I didn't have no money. So I used my art. You might have to do something like that, make their presents or whatever, even, learn it, learn how to do some things. Now, let me see. I think I'm almost, yeah, I'm done. Those are the kind of things that you need to do so that you don't have to have the spending. I don't think your self esteem is truly caught up in how you look and what you wear, but I do think that your priorities are. And that's what you just need to change is a priority and focus on how to dig yourself out of debt. Right now, we're coming up on an apocalypse, and so a lot of things that were important won't be, and a lot of things will be important that hadn't been. So, among the things we can do is just clear some things away, because if all hell breaks loose, there's no telling what'll happen. So, we got to prepare. There are people doing all kind of things to prepare, and this is one of them. And what I would like for you to do is get into a good home that you can minimize your spending, because being in debt actually costs more than paying cash. Really, it costs more than paying cash. We already talked about the interest rate and how that's made to make it snowball till you have less and less money at hand. Okay, this is essentially what I've had to say. So I'm hoping that you have good luck with that, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to me.